Hello and welcome to Rebirth Rereads, my series where I read one issue of Detective Comics Rebirth by James Tynion IV per day, leading up to the final issue 981. Today's issue is 944. Sadly, I am still sick, so not much energy today. But this issue, I have the normal cover by Alvaro Martinez. I'm a big fan, as I've said before, of Martinez, and I love this structure of the main characters, and I love the way Batwing is portrayed. I'm a big fan of Batwing, although we'll see in 950 that this is not exactly the Batwing that I enjoyed in Batman Eternal. Creative team, James Tynion IV, Eddie Barrows, the first rotation artist in the art teams. Inker Iber Ferreira, and colors Adriano Lucas. Some really fantastic coloring by Adriano Lucas today for the smoke-filled fight at the gala. This was a good comic in terms of art, although Barrows is my second favorite of the artists who worked on this title. Let's take a look at the here's the variant cover by Raphael Albuquerque. It's a good variant. I like the two-color scheme and the hands and upside-down Batman and First Victim, but I liked this one better. I just like the clean lines and that. There's two main parts of this. The first is the attack on the gala by the Victim Syndicate, and Batwing joins the team, and then the aftermath of that, where Batwing and Batman and Spoiler and Batwoman all react to the damage of the attack, because no one was seriously hurt, but Stephanie Spoiler was poisoned by one of the Victim Syndicate named Mr. Noxious. There are 5 Victim Syndicate members. The first victim, who claims to be the first person hurt as collateral damage. This is definitely one of Tynion's more frustrating plot points. I don't know if because he originally was going to try and write to Detective Comics 1000, or he just never had a plan to answer the question of who the first victim was, or whether the victim was lying. I'm inclined to believe the victim was lying, because he's a real jerk, and he constantly lies. The Mudface, also known as Glory Griffin, who was hurt by Clayface just after he turned into Clayface. There's a really interesting Detective Comics annual that tells that story. Mr. Noxious, who was controlled by Poison Ivy and became able to poison people. The Mute, who I think he had an allergic reaction to Joker Toxin and gained power to silence anyone. And then Lady Fear or something, Lady Nightmare, I don't know. She's basically discount Scarecrow, because she was one of his experiments. They're not a big threat physically, especially since Batman and his team are just so powerful. But I love the fact that they're really sapping at the will of Batman and his team to fight. I think there's 2 really great artistic moments in this. The first is the big shot of the team versus the Victim Syndicate. You see the great mist effects of the terrible gases of Mr. Noxious. And the team. There's something weird about the way Eddie Barrows draws Orphan. She's always really, really small, whereas before she was mostly about the same size as Stephanie Brown, at least before Flashpoint, before the New 52. And the second thing I wanted to show was this really cool round table. Yeah, there we go. That's just really cool. Luke finds something that Tim left, and you see each chair has a little symbol. You've got Red Robin, Orphan, Batwoman, Spoiler, Clayface, and Batman. It's the round table of the, we'll find out later, the Gotham Knights, which I think is a really cute thing. I'm really bummed that James Tynion didn't get to spin off a Gotham Knights title. I think that might have been a really nice title to get after he finished his Detective Comics run. But he's gone Justice League Dark, which was just solicited for its first issue in July with art by Alvaro Martinez, and it looks really cool. The callbacks this issue, I don't think any of the Victim Syndicate are actually tie-ins to real comics. I think Tynion was making up characters, but it's very plausible. I like that. The way that Tynion develops the Victim Syndicate reminds you of a similar concept in Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason's Batman and Robin, where you had a bunch of thugs who were henchmen for supervillains who were deformed by Batman's attacks. But those were clearly super evil and dumb, and they were really dehumanized, and Tomasi didn't intend us to have much sympathy for them because they were so grotesque and repulsive morally and physically. These characters have an air of tragedy, which I think is more interesting. So I'm gonna give this issue a 6 out of 10. This arc, I don't know if it's because I expected so much because it was advertised as the Stephanie Brown arc, but we still really didn't have much Stephanie. And what Stephanie would do is her being really mopey. And it's understandable that she's mopey. But one of the things that makes Stephanie Stephanie is her hope and her spunk and her bad jokes and her just sense of hope and zest. And sadly, Tim's death marks the beginning of just a really mopey and angry Steph for the rest of this run. And so that's why I feel like it's a missed opportunity. She was really great in the first arc, but I wish Tynion had given her more of her old self. And hopefully we'll see that in 980. I'm still you're going to hear this every single time. I am mad that Scott Eaton is the fill-in artist for 980 because he is such a blobby penciler. All his characters look so blobby. Oh well, can't do anything about it. So 6 out of 10. Good issue. I'll see you tomorrow.